Do you want to learn how to do this awesome op art project? It is such a cool illusion of making the ball look like it is falling into the paper or it is coming out of the paper. If you want to do this project with me, you are going to need something circular to trace. You are going to need a pencil to do the drawing part with. You are going to need a ruler and maybe something longer and straight if your ruler is not the full size of your paper. You are going to need an eraser just to erase any mistakes that you might make, and 2 of your favorite colored markers. Try to make sure you have one a little bit lighter than the other. And when you have all of those awesome supplies, you might want to grab a black crayon or a black colored pencil to toss in here so we can make this awesome fade. And let's get started. Hey guys, so we are going to begin it's my 3rd grade lesson is what I'm going to label it at, but it can really be done from 3rd up. Any age kind of above 3rd grade can really handle this project. So you are going to need a pencil, probably an eraser just in case. You're going to need a ruler, at least one that you can get to go all the way across the paper. This way not. You want it to go both ways all the way across, but if it doesn't, I mean, we'll figure it out. 2 colored markers, one on the lighterish side and one a little bit darker. So I chose 2 kind of light colors, but pick 2 different colors. Do not use black, brown, or gray, and you'll see why. And then a black crayon or a black colored pencil, which we won't need until the very end. You will need that, and then you're going to need, this is a little circle vase that I have because I'm going to use this for drawing a circle on my paper, and this is about 4.5 inches, so I would try to get something that is very close to that. And what you're going to do, my Goodwill vase, is you're going to sit it right in the middle of your paper, and with your pencil, because there will be no Sharpie in this, you're going to draw a line very close to it around the entire circle. That way when you lift it, you've got a circle on your paper. If you can see my circle, it might be a little hard for you to see my lines. I'm going to try. Then, once you got your circle on there nice and neat, hopefully it's as good centered as you can. Mine is a little bit off, but I think it was off on my original. So that's all right. Now we're going to use our ruler. And if you're my student at school, I pre-did this part for you. So this is a step that if you are in 3rd grade, or if you're younger and doing this, you may need an adult to help you out because it does get just a little bit tough. Not much. So what I'm doing is I have lined my ruler up to the end of my paper. That's where my ruler starts. You have to probably check your ruler. Some rulers have a little space and they start after that little space instead of starting right at the edge. But I'm marking a little line every inch, so at every number. And since my ruler is not long enough, I just kind of scooched it down after I hit the very end. So right here where I hit the very end, I just scooched it down, put it right back on one of the numbers, and did a line. So now I have a line every inch on this side of the paper. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. So I'm going to line it up and do a line. And if you're working on copy paper instead of a sketchbook like I am, you're going to have kind of an extra little 1/2 inch. So you can either cut that off, make it way easier on yourself, or you can just have that little tiny half line. On my example, example, if you give me 1 second, on my example paper, because this was a copy paper, I have that extra both sides. I just tried to make it even. So instead of having a random 1/2 inch over here, it would evenly lay on my paper. So it's up to you. I would recommend cutting maybe that 1/2 inch off so it's a little bit easier. So on my paper, I have all these little dashes now going all the way across. I don't know if you can see them on the camera. I'm going to take my ruler now and I'm going to line up my ruler on those lines, and I'm going to draw a nice straight line. And what this does is helps us make nice straight lines where we want them. We're not guessing and then getting crooked lines or uneven lines. We really want them to be nice and straight. Now right here, I barely touched my circle, and yours could be a little different than mine because of where your circle maybe is on your paper. So I'm gonna go right up to the circle and go around it and continue my lines. So I'm not going through my circle. So we want you to go around that circle. And same thing here. Now we're gonna go all the way down the paper, going around the circle, not through the circle. And I will show you why. So we are going to keep going, keep going. It gets a little easier when you pass that circle and you don't have to worry about going around it. Make your lines a little quicker. And this is where if you make any mistakes on your lines, they're crooked, maybe you moved your ruler and they got bumpy, perfect time to grab that eraser and erase any mistakes that you might have made. Now I am going to look for something that I could use to do my other lines. Let me see if this is the size of the paper. Still not quite there. I just need something long enough that I can do my lines. That's a little longer than my ruler. Let me try my back cover of my notebook here. Okay, so there we go. I can line up my lines here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna do my line all the way down. And again, as soon as I get to that circle, I'm gonna go around it, not through it. And I'm gonna keep going. And if you don't have a ruler, once you do those little dashes and you know where the 1 inch is, you can use anything in your house that's nice and tough and can be used as a straight edge. I'm using a cover to a notebook to do it. And we're gonna keep going. Yep. And I think this is like one of the most tedious parts of this project. The next one's coming up. But it is pretty cool at the end. Okay, so now that I've got all of my lines, so I have a checkerboard throughout my entire paper. I have a grid, I guess. We haven't quite turned it into a checkerboard yet. Now what I'm gonna do is I have this circle. So what I wanna do, and this is done by hand, if you have a compass or something and you wanna be really perfect with it, you can go ahead. I am doing a curved line right here from end to end. And I kind of sketch it in, and I can go in and erase any extra lines. And right here is about the middle of my sphere or my circle here. So I'm gonna curve this way on this side and this way on this side. So let me go ahead and do this other one right here. We're gonna go ahead and do the same thing. I'm gonna curve around, and I just kind of want to curve with that circle I made. And that's what helps give, I felt like I said that wrong, the sphere, the look of it popping out of the page or falling into the page. So over here I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to curve out and down to that. And again, I just kind of go back and forth until it kind of looks right and even to me, and then I can go in and erase any extra little lines. You do want to try to keep this all even. Try to keep the distance between the thing here, the inch. This is going to be much bigger, and that's fine. Now, we're gonna turn it this way. Now this line here actually runs right down the center. So we're gonna go ahead and trace that line going all the way through the sphere. Okay, because it's just right there in the middle, there's really nowhere for it to go. And then these lines are gonna turn this way. So now I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna turn, give these lines a nice curve from point to point. Give them a little curve there. And then this one, they're gonna get a curve, but it's gonna be really close to the end on mine. So you just gotta be very careful when you're coloring. And we're gonna turn it over. I'm gonna do the same thing, nice curve to curve, or curve from point to point. Okay, this one, there's kind of no purpose. By the time I draw it in, it's gonna be touching that line, so I'm not gonna do one there. Okay, so we've got our sphere done and we've got our lines done. So now what you're going to do is you're gonna grab your two colored markers. So I have pink and green. I feel like green is darker than the pink, so I'm gonna start with the pink. It's a little easier to work with your lighter colors for the fact that we have any mistakes made, and it does happen with this, we can fix it if we start with a lighter color. We're also using markers. So when we're using marker, remember they are water-based. They will bleed into each other. If I accidentally touch the green part, I'll pull green into my pink, whereas I'm not gonna pull much pink into my green because it's lighter than the green. So what you're going to do, and it doesn't really matter how you put your paper, whatever works, we're gonna go through now and we are going to do every other box with your lighter color. And you do not have to use the pink and the green. Pick whatever works for you, whatever two colors you like. Just remember, no black, no browns, and no grays. Okay, so I'm gonna color that one in pink. And just like anytime I color with marker, you're gonna outline it first and then you can use that angle, color it in, and it just colors in neater, fills it in better. All right, so we are going to go all the way through this row. And then I'll speed up after this. So we're gonna color all the way through here, and here, and in here. So there we go. So on this first row, I have 4 colored in pink, and I have 4 white. So what I've done is I have created a pattern going in that first row, and I have started my checkerboard. So I have a pink, a white, a pink, a white, pink, white, pink, white, all the way across. Now, I'm gonna move to row 2. Row 2, I'm gonna do the opposite. So wherever I have a pink underneath, it's gonna be white. Wherever I have a white underneath, it's going to be pink. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna speed up and go through this a little quicker. Okay, so I have row 1 and row 2 done. So now we're starting to create that checkerboard pattern. So now what you're going to do, and I'm going to speed through this next part, is you're going to keep going. So these rows are going to be done in checkerboard. If it's easier for you to go down one row at a time instead of going that way, it's entirely up to you. When you hit the sphere, the circle in the middle here, you are not going to color anything. So once you get your lines, so let me do this one right here. So if you look at this square right here, if I come down, I have a white square, but I have little tiny speck here of where I would make it pink. So I can color little areas like that in, make sure I get everything where it should be, but I am not going to color in the sphere itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward and color all the rest of this in, leaving my circle blank, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now we have the whole background colored in, and we just have the sphere left in the middle. So we take our marker that we just did the whole background section with, and what we're going to do is we're going to continue that every other color throughout the sphere. So this little pink right here, you can ignore, that was a mistake. I have pink, so we'll go white, and then we'll color in pink. And then we have white, and then we'll do pink. And then we have white, and that little tiny line there is that part of pink that is just right outside of my circle. So that would remain there. Okay, so we'll color these in, and that goes right through the center. Now we can continue. So from this white here, we're gonna go ahead and make this one pink. White, pink, white, and then this chunk here is pink. And kind of an extra line there. Let me try to get there. Oh, it doesn't matter because I'm going to go over that with the black. Okay, so we have pink, white, and then we have a little sliver of pink here before we hit another little sliver there. And we have a tiny little dot here of pink. And then we would have this piece here would be pink. Okay, so now we've got a good majority of that half. So let's go ahead and turn it. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. So we have pink, white. This chunk would be pink. And white. And then over here, this one will be pink. And that goes right into a pink. That's all right. Oh, pink right here. And these are confusing. They do get very exhausting. Just try your hardest to keep it as close to going from pink to white to pink to white all the way across. Try to not have any that are going to be back to back. Where you have a pink section and then you're going to color a whole nother square pink. That's probably the biggest way to kind of mess up the illusion that you get when you finish these. But for the most part, as long as you have it as close to being in a constant checkerboard, you're going to get that look at the end. So you don't have to worry about any tiny little mistakes here and there. Okay, so now we have the whole thing done in our first color. So now we're going to grab the second color and we are just going to fill every white space in on our paper. And I'm going to fast forward through that. So go ahead and get your second color and we're going to go ahead and fill all of the rest of it in with that color. All right, so we have finished all the squares or shapes that we have throughout the paper. So I'm going to grab a colored pencil. I think it works a little better with a colored pencil. I feel like I have a little more control, but a crayon is perfectly fine. But you want black, no other color but black. And what we're going to do is we are going to create a circle. So we're going to go around that outside of our circle. And actually I may use crayon because this is an erasable colored pencil and it's kind of on the weird side. So I'm actually going to revert to crayon here. Okay, so we're going to outline, see how much nicer and darker that is. That's what we want. So we want to go around the outside here with a nice dark circle. And you're just going to go around, try to stay on that line, go however slow you may need to go, whatever you have to do to help get yourself a beautiful circle. Try to stay with that shape. And you could do this with any shape too. It's just going to be the same process. Do a heart. Circle I like because it looks like a ball kind of falling into your paper. So once you have a nice dark outline, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create that fade. So we're gonna start where it's super, super dark here. And I just kind of try to do it curve at a time and work my way around instead of trying to do the whole thing at once. And I'm gonna pull out, getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And I can always go darker, but I am not gonna be able to go lighter. So just keep that in mind as you color out. You don't wanna have it so you're gonna have to try to lighten it. You definitely want to be able to have it all even. So I want to just kind of work half into that one and into my new space and color out. I actually kind of think the crayon may just work overall a little better than the colored pencil. It's blending a little bit better for me. All right, so we're going to keep doing that. And coloring out nice and dark against my circle. And we're gonna do the same thing all the way around. And I'm just kind of working in that curved way, all the way around. Yeah, a little darker there. It's not quite that dark. You do want that deep, dark sort of pull in look. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing here. And again, at least I could go back over it. I don't wanna have to try to lighten it. That's not gonna happen. Okay, come back in here, make it a little darker. And then I just got a little area left right here. So I've really just gotta kind of match the two areas and pull it out. Now I did make it a little darker in some other areas, so I'm gonna go back and kind of fix it up so it looks pretty even all the way around. Really dark against the circle, and then it's gonna fade out into a much lighter black, and then it's just gonna disappear. You can always practice fading if you are worried about coloring on this after doing all of those marker lines. You can practice a fade. Just push down, go from light to dark, and practice just making a little value strip. So I'm gonna keep going out a little bit with some black, give it a couple little more black lines going out. Now that we've done that part, what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of do the same thing coming in towards my circle. So now I'm gonna go from that dark, and I'm gonna create, I'm not gonna go dark on this part, but I'm just gonna come in light and fade into my circle. So I wanna have that shadow on my ball as well. So it's going on to the background there, but I also wanna have that shadow coming in on the ball. I'm just gonna work my way all the way around again. This should be much lighter, and you can always go darker, but you can't go lighter. So just try to make sure that you're keeping these curves. Try not to color straight. You wanna go with the curve of the ball. And you also want to have it just kind of start to help create a sphere instead of just a flat circle. And that's all the shadow shading value is going to do, is just help give that sphere its 3D look. And this is also a project where we're not outlining these lines. We're gonna leave these lines the way they are. If you wanna get really fancy and outline everything, I think it takes away a little bit from the project, but use a really skinny Sharpie. Like if you don't like the fact that maybe you messed up in an area and you want just the line to be outlined and make it a little more crisp and clear, just use a really skinny ultra fine Sharpie or pen or marker instead of using the regular fine point Sharpie. That's gonna make a bit of a wider line. All right, so see how we have now created a nice value all the way around the ball, helping give it that kind of curved look. So I have crayons here, and this may or may not show up. Kind of didn't do what I wanted it to do on my original, but now you're gonna kind of go in with a white crayon, and you can see it, and you wanna create just a curved highlight on this sphere. So I'm just coloring, since I used a marker, I can color right on top of the marker with a white, and it'll show up. So I hope you can see that. Oh yeah, you can see that pretty good actually in the camera. So I've created a little highlight there, and you can create another little one throughout sides of your sphere. I wouldn't do too many. You don't really want to take away. You just want it to still have that sort of rounded look to it. So with that being said and done, there is the one we did today, and there is my primary example. Now this one was done with colored pencil. I do like the crayon a little more. I kind of like how it blended a little better, and I've tried it with crayon before, so I don't know if it's just because my Crayola Twistables have a little bit of a bigger area up here than maybe a regular crayon. Maybe it's smaller than a regular crayon. I don't know, but I do like the crayon look on this better than my colored pencil on this one. But I hope you had fun. Please post your pictures below. I really want to see them. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share the video. And I hope if you are doing e-learning that you are having at least a little bit of fun being stuck at home. And I cannot wait to see you guys again next time. Have a great day. Goodbye.